before I give you the secrets of what to do after a binge, we have to have this hard conversation around what you're doing after a binge right now is making it worse, because your restriction or compensation is turning into another binge, and then lather, rinse, repeats. If you're leaning in the camp of, well, I need a mental reset of like, I ate all this food and I just feel off, digestion, blah, I need to just get off and just not eat for the next day. Stop it. You are validating starving. Part of becoming binge free is understanding that binges will come up. We're not aiming for that. We're not shooting for that, but understand that it's part of what happens as you are going from something that controls your life and something you're uncontrolled with to being totally autonomous and free around it. It's just part of the process. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dieting from the Inside Out. If you're new around here, welcome to the show. My name is Jared Hamilton, and I'm your host. And in today's episode, we are talking about what to do after a binge. Now, it's funny, this subject for today came up for a couple different reasons. Number one is I actually don't think I have any episodes on a strategic answer to what to do if you do binge on your journey to become free around food. So I figured it would be helpful to give you guys an actual blueprint, if you will. But this really came up because a client of mine that I'm working with, specifically on binge eating, helping her through that, sent me a podcast and she goes, "Hey, Jared, I found this podcast on Spotify and they're talking about what to do after a binge, but it goes against like everything that you say. But this person says they're like a food freedom person. So can you give me your thoughts on it?" And so I listened to it, and it was some of the most horrendous advice I have ever heard. And it was literally keeping people trapped binge eating. Like, I'm sure the person hosting this podcast means well, and I don't believe in reaction videos, and I don't believe in putting anyone on blast like this. So I'm not going to do that. But basically this person, I'm assuming, like I said, means well, but everything they were teaching was putting someone back in the vicious cycle of binge eating. So, that made me realize, you know what, I need to make a resource. If there's information like this around do this after a binge and it's horrible advice, I need to have something to at least help combat that mess of stuff out there. So that's kind of where the idea came from. So props and shout out to the client, you know who you are, who sent me that episode. That's where this came from. So let's just get right into it, because here's the reality. There's two sides to well, they're not just two sides. There's a lot of sides to this stuff, where when it comes to binge eating, you're going to be on your journey to stopping it. That's probably the only reason why you would ever click on an episode that says what to do after a binge is if you're trying to stop binge eating. Now, the reality is binge eating progress is not pretty. It's not sexy. It's not linear, and it is gross. What I mean by that is essentially the reason I say that is because during your journey to become binge free, you're going to have binges, and it's okay. Right. Again, like, I'm not a therapist, not a psychologist, none of that. Like, this is not to replace any advice or help you beginning with a licensed practitioner in that. But when it comes to your fixing your relationship with food and helping binge eating, it is not going to be a situation where you are binge eating all the time and then you go to zero binge eating. That is not the normal. That is, yeah, there's some cases where that happens, but most people will go from binge eating all the time to now at least more aware they're binge eating all the time to then maybe slightly smaller binges. I'm talking about from like 5,000 calories a binge to 4,000, right? So it's a smaller binge, or maybe more time between binges, right? Instead of binge eating 4 or 5 days a week, it might be 3 or 4 days a week. Then it may go from that to putting a few days between the binges, or from there it goes to binge eating, but then you catch yourself that you're doing it. You're like, oh, I'm doing it again. And then you can course correct. And then that may turn into just more spread out binges or overeating sessions that aren't quite binges, then to very infrequent binges, to every once in a while binges, to then, wait, when was the last time I binged? Oh, wait, I forgot I used to binge. Right. So this is a spectrum, if you will. There's a whole lineup, if you will, like that in terms of binge eating progress. So it is not something you're going to go from binge eating 3-4 times a week to zero. That's just not how it usually works. Or if it does work like that, cool. Just don't let that be the expectation, because healing through binge eating is a very multifaceted thing, and it takes lots of time and grace. And through this whole journey, part of this is, which means I say all that to share that you are going to binge, which means you need to have a plan for what to do after you binge, because most people's after binge plan actually tees them up for another binge, if not a bigger binge. So before we get into what to do, because it's a really simple list, I'm going to share with you what not to do. Okay. So if you were to binge, again, that's part of the journey. Part of becoming binge free is understanding that binges will come up. We're not aiming for that. We're not shooting for that, but understand that it's part of what happens as you are going from something that controls your life in something you're uncontrolled with to being totally autonomous and free around it. It's just part of the process. So what not to do? Number one, eat less. As in, if you binge on a Tuesday, do not eat less on Wednesday. Like you'll get the general consensus of this is we are not trying to compensate for the binge. But one of the worst things to do after a binge is try to eat less to compensate for the calories or to compensate for what you ate or what have you. I'll explain why on all this here in a second. But number one, do not eat less because you binged. Number two, do not try to reset. I had someone literally yesterday mention to me, they said, Jared, if I were to like overeat a little bit or binge, what do you think about just intermittent fasting the next day to just kind of reset? And I go, what do you mean by reset? Because I don't have, it's not the point of this episode where like some people follow an intermittent fasting protocol for reasons that they just feel better off of that system. Not that there's anything magical about it. And if you're on a food freedom journey and struggle with binge eating, you should not be intermittent fasting is my belief. But this person wasn't meaning it in terms of like that. When they said, oh, I just want to reset, I go, explain that to me. They're like, oh, just because I ate so much yesterday and then I could go a full 24 hours without eating and da-da-da-da-da. And I go, wait, so are you telling me you're wanting to fast to compensate for the calories? And he goes, yeah, but I guess that sounds really bad now that I say it out loud. So I go, yeah, exactly. So there's no need for a reset. Listen, you're not an iPhone. You don't need a factory reset or anything like that. If you're leaning in the camp of, well, I need a mental reset of like, I ate all this food and I just feel off, digestion, blah. I need to just get off and just not eat for the next day. Stop it. You are validating starving. You are validating, restrictive, disordered eating. So no, you don't need a reset. That's not what you need to do. That's not how the body or the mind works. Kind of along the next one, what not to do, fast. Do not be fasting after your binges because you are teeing up another binge. I'll get to that here in a minute. Next, drop calories. I know a lot of people who they binge on a Friday, so they try to eat like 1,000 calories a day on Saturday. Nope, it's the same thing. Do not try to do that. Next, don't try to burn it off. Like, I don't care if you're like, oh, I'll have all this energy. Stop it. You're trying to validate disordered eating again. Do not go and try to burn it off. Should you stay according to your plan? Yeah. Like if you're training, 3 times a week, or if you are getting steps in, cool, stick to that. But if you binge, do not try to go cardio it off or go do marathon like workouts or do extra things because you ate. My thing is the intention behind this. Do not try to compensate. Okay. I'll get to that here in a second. Next, do not shame yourself. I'm telling you, shame is one of the lowest vibrational frequencies you can have in your body. And we all naturally at first want to do it. It's almost, there's this belief of, oh, if I shame myself enough or guilt myself enough, I won't do the thing again. No, you're actually going to do it again because you'll have this inner rebel pattern come up. You start shaming yourself, how like your mom probably did. And then you just kind of dug your heels into the dirt. That's kind of what's going to happen again. Shaming yourself is not going to work. It's why if you shame your dog, it doesn't make them pee on the carpet less. If you shame your kids, they just grow to resent you. Shaming yourself is not a sustainable way to cause a catalyst for change to happen. Shame is nowhere to be found in all this. Okay. So here's the thing. As a whole, this is the big one. After a binge, whatever you do not try and compensate at all. It's done. It's in the past. You cannot fix it. You trying to compensate for a binge is literally like taking a tube of toothpaste, squeezing it all out, and then going, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Then trying to put all the toothpaste back in the tube. It doesn't work. Will you get a little bit of it? Maybe. Is it going to be way more tedious? Absolutely. No matter how much you try to put back in it, is there still going to be residue everywhere and still not going to be the same? Exactly. Trying to compensate for a binge is trying to take a tube of toothpaste and squeeze it all out and then go, oops, I shouldn't have done that and put it back in. It doesn't work. You can't do it. You might egoically be able to convince yourself you can, but it won't work at all. It's kind of like trying to have a spending addiction or go on a spending spree and trying to out budget it the next time. Like if you go and max out, like let's say $5,000 or $10,000 on your credit card, and then you're just trying to pick up a few extra hours at work at the UPS store or at the office or at the hospital or wherever you work. It won't make a dent. This is why trying to compensate doesn't do anything. If you look at the numbers, if you overate let's say 5 or 10,000 calories, I would say in a week or sometimes even in a day of a binge, you trying to go burn 300 extra calories at the gym isn't going to touch it. Or you trying to restrict your calories the next day isn't going to touch it, especially when you restricting the next day is going to cause you to feel more deprived and cause you to fall off and binge again. Compensation is your ego's way of trying to fix something that can't be fixed in this context. Again, we can fix binge eating, but that is a pattern thing that we fix separately from the binge. If you have binged, it's over. You can't undo it. It's like if I post something on the internet and go, fuck, I wish I wasn't there, and I delete it, it's still out there. You can't undo the binge. So this is where there needs to be a level of acceptance and surrender of like, oh, I binged, I did it. Okay, it's done. Big deep breath, forgive yourself. Would you beat your friend up emotionally or even physically if they binge? Probably not. You'd probably just be like, hey, look, it's okay. It was a one and done thing. Just get back on track. Forgive yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. You should probably take the same advice. Because here's what's happening. Every time you try to compensate for a binge, because here's the thing, don't get me wrong, we can fix the binges. I've been doing it for the last 15 or so years with people, but you don't fix a binge in that moment. A binge is fixed outside of the binge. If you binge and overeat or emotionally eat or whatever way you end up doing the thing, there's no way to undo that, right? It's because when you try to undo it, whether you via restricting, by burning it off at the gym, by eating less, by slashing calories, by giving up sugar, whatever, on paper, not only is it not doing a damn thing, but it is habitually setting you up for another binge cycle again. Why do you think they call it the restrict binge cycle? Because if you binge and then you go, I did that, whoops, let me restrict to try to play damage control, you'll only go so far, and then you'll feel so restricted. What happens? You binge. And then out of that binge, you're going to go, why'd I do this? What's wrong with me? Restriction again. And then you're going to restrict for as long as you can take it. And then once you break, you're going to binge again. And then you're like, why did I do that? Why am I such a failure? And then the cycle repeats itself for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Every time you try to compensate, you are ingraining deeper patterns habitually and neurologically in your brain of a future slip up. This is why the best thing you can do when you binge is what I'm about to show you. I'll show you exactly what to do, and you're going to listen to it and you're going to go, that can't be it. There has to be more, and it's not. But before I give you the secrets of what to do after a binge, we have to have this hard conversation around what you're doing after a binge right now is making it worse, because your restriction or compensation is turning into another binge, and then lather, rinse, repeats. It's almost like, imagine your toddler throwing a hissy fit because it's not getting its way in the restaurant, and then you give them, okay, fine, here's the toy. Well, you just taught them, for me to get my way, I just got to throw a hissy fit in public? Bet. That's all you're doing to this pattern. You see what I mean? I hope this is making sense. So what should you do? Let's get into this. What should you do? First question I have for you. Again, I'm going to give you the exact play-by-play, but the reason I like to do this on a podcast is because it's nuanced and we need to have a little bit more discussion around this. So I want you to think about these things differently. I don't want to just tell you what to do. I also want to teach you how to think. So what should you do when you binge? My question for you is, what would you tell your best friend to do after a binge? Or better yet, what would you tell a child to do after a binge? That client of mine I was telling you about who they had a fun weekend for his birthday, and he didn't even binge. He just ate more than he normally would. And when he mentioned to me, he said, I was thinking about maybe not eating the next day. What do you think about that? I go, and I know he has kids, and I go, would you tell the boys to not eat the next day? And he goes, no. I go, what about your wife? Would you tell her to not eat the next day? That's a good point. Okay, I get it. And like, that was the thing, is because when you put these perspectives on different things outside of you, it changes the way you internalize things. Right? Because you'll put yourself through the ringer. You'll be cynical. You'll have extra standards unreachable for yourself, or you'll give yourself, just let's be honest, horrible fucking advice. But if I say, what if it's your wife? What if it's your husband? What if it's your kids? What if it's your best friend? What if it's your niece, your nephew? All of a sudden you go, I don't know if I want to suggest that anymore. That's good. This is why we have to have these layers of self-reflection. Okay? So first thing is, after a binge, what would you tell your best friend or child to do? Sit with that for a second. What would you tell them to do? Would you actually tell them to go not eat, to drop their calories, to go like burn it off, go punish themselves, to go shame themselves, to try to just not eat the next day? Of course not. Chances are you would tell them to just shake it off and do better next time. Now, I got a little bit deeper understanding of this, so we're going to get a little bit deeper, but that's not actually horrible advice though. So let's talk about it. Because here's the premise. If you wouldn't have them do it, you're not allowed to either. Use that as a filter. So if you binge and you go, oh, well, I think I should just not eat the next day. Pause. Would you tell your kid to not eat the next day? Your best friend not eat the next day? No, then you're not allowed either. You cannot be a hypocrite with this stuff. If you sit there beating yourself up, would you have your friend or kid or whatever beat themselves up? Of course not. You have to start giving yourself the same standard you would give someone else. It's kind of like the golden rule twisted. You know, the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do to you. Well, most people treat themselves like shit and don't value themselves, but they're great to everyone else. So I have an inverted golden rule. Do to myself what I would do unto others. Because chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you're the kind of person who probably doesn't treat themselves very well, that may be harder on themselves when they should be, have unrealistic standards, and then have a really loud inner critic. But when it comes to everyone else in your life, you are the all-star for them. You would take your shirt off your back, you would cheer them on, you'd get up at 4 a.m, and take them to the airport. You're probably that person. So you need the inverted golden rule. You need to do to yourself what you would do to others, what you would do for your friends and family and all of that, because you probably treat everyone else better than you. So you need to give yourself that same standard. Okay, enough back and forth. Here's what to do. Here's what exactly to do when you binge. There's 3 things, literally 3 things to do. Step number 1, get back to your normal plan like nothing happened. Now, it is worth discussing that your normal plan may be the problem. If you're restrictive and you are eating 1,200 calories a day and you don't have carbs and you think sugar's bad and you literally exile all your favorite foods from your life, yeah, your plan is what's causing your binging. Your diet is the actual problem. But assuming it's not, let's say your plan or your diet you're following checks my boxes. It's simple, it's sustainable, it's practical, nothing's good, nothing's bad, and you could do it for the next 10, 15 years of your life where you're able to enjoy all of your favorite foods, but you still eat mostly whole foods that make you feel really good. Okay, let's say your plan checks my sustainability diet boxes. So if you were to binge, step number 1 is get back to your normal plan like nothing happened. 1 day of anything doesn't make or break you. Hell, there's a lot. It's crazy what you can get away with, to be honest with you. You could go on a vacation and eat like an asshole and drink like a fish, and you come back looking the exact same. Nothing happens overnight. The scale will spike, of course, but that's just physics. If I drank a gallon of water right now, my scale would be up 8 pounds because it shows everything. So it's a scale. It's like when a truck full of feed goes onto a scale, it's weighing not just the feed, it's weighing the tires, the engine, the gas, the driver, the whole 9 yards. So let's keep things in context. So step number 1 is get back to your normal plan like nothing happened. Stop overhauling shit. Stop getting serious. Stop like, oh, I got to get back on track. No, stop. It's literally a blip. Listen to when I say this. After a binge happens, tell yourself this. This is the next moment of the rest of my life. Like if it is 1 o'clock, I binge, and it is 1:05, I go, this is the next moment of the rest of my life. This moment is the next moment of the rest of my life. You just quit moving your goalpost. The problem is you binge and then you move your goalpost to Monday. Then you binge till Monday. Or you move your goalpost to tomorrow. So you say, fuck the rest of the day. You don't get your work on, you don't your inner work. You don't make better decisions. You don't have good habits. You literally just move your goalpost to an arbitrary place that doesn't have any relevancy. The first, next year, next month, Monday, tomorrow. Today is made up of so many moments. Like right now, this moment is the next moment of the rest of my life. So if you binge, you are 1 bite from being back on track. Stop acting like it's an all or nothing thing. It's like, it's not like that. My friend Matt Vincent described this beautifully. Matt actually was just at my house the other day. He stopped by on a little road trip. I did a podcast with him a few episodes back. You guys should check it out. He talked about in the world of course correcting with being on, off, all this. He goes, man, it's not quite like that. He goes, it's like driving an elephant. If you start going off track, let's say you binge, all you're doing is taking your little thing and go tap, 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 tap. Let's go back on track. That's it. You're not driving a freaking car and you're like hard left, hard right and fishtailing. Think about driving an elephant. You're driving an elephant and it starts to get off track. So you start a little binge. You're like, oh, tap, 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 tap. And you're just adjusting back on track. You're not like hard left and hard right and making like a car drifts around a corner. That's not what you're doing. And you can't do that to an elephant. Your stuff is the same way. You're driving the elephant and go, oh, you're getting off track. Tap, 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 tap. No overhauls, no all or nothing, no, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? And then trying to course correct. No, it's not like that. You can't drive an elephant like that. You're the same way. Just get back to your normal plan like nothing happened. Just gradually go back. It's not that big of a deal. I know in the moment the binge feels like a big deal, and I know it controls your life, and I know you're not happy, and I know all that stuff, and I get it. We'll work on that, but you can't fix the binge inside the binge. You can't read the label from inside the bottle. For us to fix your binge, we have to get out of the binge and then do the work there, and I'll get into that. But you can't fix the binge inside the binge when you're emotionally charged and eating all this food, and then you're like, oh, fuck me, what's wrong with me? I'm a piece of shit, da, 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 da. And then you're trying to compensate the next day. Doesn't work like that, friend. It doesn't work like that at all, okay? So step number one after a binge is get back to your normal plan like nothing happened. Like the elephant, just tap, 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 tap. Hey, oh, we're getting a little bit off. That's it. Step two, emotionally regulate. Big inhale. Wow, I'm really stuffy. Emotionally regulate, because binges are a lot. Chances are half the reason you're probably binging is because you're running from shit. You have some stuff inside that we haven't looked at in a long time. And you're probably running from what you feel. Stress, worry, doubt, anxiety, childhood stuff, a trigger, your mom, whatever it may be. Stuff that you don't want to look at. You're bored and you don't like being bored. It feels weird to be bored because we're adults now. Or if you're bored and then when you're bored, you realize how anxious you are and you're like, fuck, that sucks. No, let me go eat. Right? A lot of the reasons we as people binge is because we're running from shit. This is why being emotionally regulated is one of the first fucking things we get our clients and collective members to fix, because it fixes so many issues. And it's one of the easiest things you can do to improve your life, because you're an emotional being. And if your emotions are all over the fucking place, you're in for a hell of a ride. If every little thing makes you go up, down, and sideways, especially if you're a highly emotional person. Especially for like a dude, I'm a more emotional dude. So me having all these tools in the toolbox to regulate myself whenever emotions get high or low or in between is so important, because your binge, whether your binge was an emotional binge or if it was for whatever reason, hunger, restriction, whatever, you're probably feeling a lot of emotions now that you did it. You're probably like, fuck, what's wrong with me? Shame creeps in. Oh, I'm broken. Something's wrong with me. I knew I'd be a failure. Now your inner asshole comes out that's just beating you to shit. That's a lot of stuff to deal with. That's a lot of stuff to hold space for. Oh man, this is just like mom. Mom was right. Whatever. There's a lot of emotions there, and we need to regulate and hold space for those. Now, this episode is not about going to get into all the strategies on how to hold space for emotions. We do that inside my coaching programs. We could always talk about, but when it comes to this, you have to, step two is get emotionally regulated. There's so many ways we can do this. Breath work, journaling, meditation, quiet walks, EFT tapping. There's so many things that we can do to emotionally regulate. And so we have to be able to do that before we do anything. Because if you notice, whenever you're making dumb decisions about binging, then restricting, binging, and then going off the deep end and trying to burn it off or whatever, it's in a heightened emotional state. You are making emotional decisions because you binged. So if you emotionally regulate, you're less likely to make dumb decisions. Okay? That's step two. Step three, this is the big one. Once grounded, get curious about what caused it in the first place so you can address it in the future. So when it comes to the binge, again, notice I said once grounded. Once you are grounded and outside of this thing, now we can get curious and go, what caused that binge to happen? Now we can get strategic. This is what I do as a coach. When I'm working with someone who binge eats, and the last thing I do is when they come to me, I'm not like, oh, what the fuck's wrong with you? You should go burn this off. No. Binge will happen. And then usually we'll talk about it. Cool. Here's what I'll take a step back. Whenever that happens, usually I'm not like on a call with them or whatever when they binge. But let's say a client binges and they come to me and they're like, Jared, but I binged this weekend. I struggled, I go, cool. Looking back, what happened? How did the binge come up? What were we feeling? Were you hungry? Was it emotional? Was it a triggering situation? Like what happened when the binge came up? What'd you binge on? Were we restricting those foods? Have we had those foods in a while? Were we putting those foods into our plan so we didn't feel restricted? Did we let our hunger get too high? Was anything out of the normal? It's these kind of questions. You just have to get curious, because then we can go, cool, knowing what you know now, what could you do if this happens in the future? Say the situation plays out next weekend. What could you do next time to keep this from happening? And the answer is never willpower through it, grit through it, or try harder. It's never the answer. If you binge eat consistently, we have some inner game things going on. We have some shit to heal through, and we have some new systems we need to put in play, new plans to overhaul. But again, you cannot ask these reflective questions to yourself if you are in a heightened emotional state in trying to restrict and go burn calories. So that's why step 1 is get back to a normal plan like nothing happened. Step 2, emotionally regulate, ground yourself. Then once grounded, get curious about what caused the binge to happen. And then so this way we can address it in the future. Because again, like I said, if you binge, it's too late to fix it. It's done. Literally, and I don't mean that in like a shameful or a judgy way. It's like, nah, man, it's done. If I accidentally fell and squeezed the tube of toothpaste and the toothpaste is everywhere, whoops. No sense in beating myself up. Oop, I did it. I'm going to go buy a new tube of toothpaste. I'm not going to try to get it back in the bottle. It wouldn't work anyway. If the binge happened, take a big deep breath and forgive yourself. You're working on this. You wouldn't shame your best friend for binge eating or struggling or working on their journey. You wouldn't judge them for it. Here's the thing. Binge eating is just a pattern you picked up when you were young. It served you in a weird way. Maybe you didn't handle mom and dad's divorce the best because you were 6 and you didn't know what to do, so you turned to food. Maybe your mom taught you that we hide our emotions with food. Oh, honey, just go get ice cream. It'll make you feel better. Maybe you didn't have enough food in your house growing up. So whenever you went over to your friend's house to play, you overate and learned to binge for survival. Man, good thing little you found binge eating. It's the only reason you're here. I'm not trying to glorify binge eating by any means, but understand that if you struggle with binge eating, it is because it is a pattern that served you somewhere else in your life, but it no longer serves you. It is something that a younger version of you found to keep yourself safe. That's it. Whether it was 6, 12, 18, it doesn't matter. Don't judge it. But now you're listening to this episode going, okay, I'm aware now, I binge, and it's not a good thing to do, and I want to fix it. So don't judge it because it served you in a weird way somewhere. But just like your pair of shoes, you bought your shoes when you were new, they ran their course, you throw them bitches away and buy new ones. This pattern of binge eating is the same way. It may have served you when you were 6 for whatever reason, like I just mentioned, but it doesn't serve you now because you're like 40 or whatever. So now we can let go of the binge eating, heal through it, and then move on with our lives, okay? Now, here's things to keep in mind if you're currently struggling with binge eating. Because again, set back. This is not a how to fix binge eating podcast. I have plenty of those other podcasts and other resources in the description. If you're ready to stop the binge eating and need help with okay, cool, I'm outside the binge. How do I stop it from happening in the future? That is a different conversation. Like I said, I have other episodes on that. But if you're like, I am ready now, you should just go join my case study program and we can fix that for you and get right on track with that. But again, from the whole point of this episode of what to do after a binge is get back on track to your normal plan, emotionally regulate, and then get grounded, and then get curious about what happened so you can avoid it in the future and make the proper course corrections. Now, here's some things to keep in mind if you're currently struggling with binge eating. I figured this was a good little thing to throw on here. Number 1, again, if you're currently struggling with it, here are things to know. You should not be in a fat loss phase right now. In my neck of the woods, you have to earn the right to diet. You have to earn the right to be in a fat loss phase. And if you are binge eating, you have constant food noise, you're obsessed and compulsive around food, you can't stop thinking about food 24/7, you emotionally eat and you self-sabotage like it's your job, you are not ready for fat loss. Because that is not a foundation I'm comfortable working on transformation with someone with. Just like I doubt you would move into a house that doesn't have a foundation. I doubt you would have the home builders of your dream home just throw the walls and ceiling on a piece of dirt without a foundation because you know it would crumble. This is no different. Stop trying to build a fat loss transformation under desperation and a broken inner game with a horrible relationship with food and constant binge eating. So the first thing in this is to keep in mind if you're struggling right now, if you are struggling with binge eating, you should not be in a fat loss phase. Number 2, binge eating is also multifaceted. It is not one reason for binge eating. And I've simplified it down. And again, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that. I'm just a coach that helps people fix their relationship with food and these kind of things. I've found the base of four predominant reasons that I see most people binge. Now, For you, it might be just one, but it's probably a combo platter. Most people I work with, it's a combo platter. So realize on your journey to binge eating, there are several reasons that could be triggering you to binge. Number 3, it's not a willpower discipline issue. Is there times you're going to have to flex your willpower and discipline? Of course, because if nothing changes, and resistance is required. But at the end of the day, getting on the other side of binge eating is not a matter of more willpower or more discipline or doing better, working harder, bite this pencil and just grind through it. It's actually the other way around. We need to actually ease up pressure, ease up tension, and get to the root cause. Of all this? Are we running from something? Are we not emotionally regulating? Is it deep in our belief systems and our identity? Is it a blatant hunger thing where we don't have a proper strategy in place around consistency and our actual plan for where you're trying to go? So it's triggering this binge eating. There's so many things in here. So it's not a willpower issue. It's also a systems issue. What systems do you have in place? What plan are you on? What frameworks do you have to utilize when all this stuff comes up? It is never a willpower thing. And then lastly, the big elephant in the room is your current diet is probably what's making your binge eating worse. Depending on what your situation is right now listening to this, most people that I talk to who struggle with binge eating, it's the plan. It's you trying to starve your way to fat loss. It's the fact that you cut your calories too much and you're doing too many things, or you're restricting your favorite foods or demonizing certain foods, or just have an overall bad relationship with food. Or we try to be good all week and then lose it on the weekends and reset Monday. There's so many of these things. It's what's causing the problem. If you're doing a diet with its own name, that makes all the sense why you're binge eating. Right? These are the big pieces of the pie with all of this, where your current diet is probably what's causing half the issues. So that's kind of the elephant in the room. But if you need help with this, you should absolutely go through my case study program. Like, yeah, you can keep doing this on your own. You can keep trying to find everything through the podcast. You can do that, my Instagram, all that nonsense. But if you're listening and you're like, man, I'm tired of binge eating ruling my life and I'm ready to be free from food, you should really go and look in the description of my case study program. I have a case study. It's called Food Freedom. I can't talk. It's called Food Freedom to Fat Loss. And it is a 6-month case study that is a completely done for you system and process to get you free around food first. Then we go right into fat loss, and we have people going through this and achieving wild shit. I'm talking about like off the top of my head, just had a lady named Tanya. I've done a podcast with her actually. Tanya, just spoke with her. She's down almost 30 pounds, no food noise, no emotional eating, and no struggles around this whatsoever, fitting in clothes that she retired way back. And now kicking ass, taking names just 6 months later. And before she joined the program, she literally was about to hop on weight loss medicine because nothing was working. But the program is built around this. And right out the gate, she's been crushing it ever since. Even more of those. Carla comes to mind. Carla went from struggling around food, lost a bunch of weight before, didn't fix her inner game, gained it all back, and then is struggled ever since. So we fixed her relationship with food, stopped emotional eating, fixed her subconscious sabotaging patterns, and all of a sudden now she's wearing clothes that she never was wearing in the last several years, like jackets that couldn't zip up now are bagging on her while eating her favorite foods, feeling the best she's ever felt. And again, I've got stories like these for days, but if you're the kind of person that is done with this trial and error bullshit and are ready to get on the other side of the binge eating so you can love the way you look and have all your clothes fit and be confident in your own skin and get your life back, this case study is such a beautiful option for you. So, and if you're not ready for that, at the bare least, go through my food noise solution guide. It's brand new. This is free. It's nowhere in comparison to my case study, but if you go look in the description, grab my food noise solution at bare minimum. So otherwise, that is it, my friend. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or if you need anything from me. Otherwise, I will talk to you next time.